In 2020, I was doing personal training in a small gym. The guy who owned that gym ended up going to prison. Not going to name him here or the gym, but you maybe will see him in one of the future videos. He got out last December, and when I saw him again 2 days after Christmas last December, the first thing I noticed was this. He looked more muscular and fit than when he went in, and he was already jacked before. And all that only with bodyweight training inside prison. And the funny thing was that his training in there was almost identical to the philosophy I'm sharing on this channel. Today's video is about training principles inmates are using to get lean, muscular, and fit, which everyday man can apply to their training. So I sat down with him in a restaurant. We had some food, and naturally we talked about training, and especially 3 things stood out. The thing that he mentioned was that they had a gym in there, but it was so small and barely had any good machines, so that they have to adapt in there. Basically, no one gave a F about using weights. The first thing he mentioned was how slow most guys train. Not speaking about time duration, speaking about reps and push-ups, pull-ups, dips. Because when you can't add weight to a movement, make the exercise harder by staying under tension just for a longer amount of time. In slow reps, long sets, so that your muscle never really gets a break. And that constant tension, especially push to muscle failure, is one of the strongest signals your muscle can receive. A slow push-up all of a sudden becomes a really challenging exercise. And that's the intensity technique we all can use in our everyday training. And let me really quick mention here, if you're looking for free training resources, equipment, or training program, check the links in the description. The second thing was something most people would probably criticize. A lot of guys avoid lockout completely, also called half reps. They stay in the hardest part of the movement longer. That's not because they don't know better, it's because when you completely lock out for too long, the tension in your muscle disappears. So staying in that middle range the entire time is working your muscle really hard. There's no pause, no rest. It's not pretty, and it always gets a lot of hate on social media, but even the best calisthenics athletes in the world use this intensity technique to increase their reps and time under tension. So why don't you? Brutally effective, like the next point. The last thing he told me was really simple. They do a ton of reps over and over again, because when you don't have additional weight, volume becomes your progression. More reps, more sets, more total workload. And then over time, your body adapts. And that's not like the 2-set method or science-based training, but it's still science, even though most people don't want to admit. And I think that's the problem with it, because I feel like science-based is the wrong phrase. The right phrase would be something like finding the minimal effective dose and maximize it by science. But if you play out your body's adapting mechanisms on a 2 square meter area, isn't that science as well? I don't want to turn this into a comment war, but I believe you know what I mean. And the interesting part is this. Inside prisons, they train that way because they have no choice. And don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning time in prison or anything like that. But they train with no equipment and no complicated programs. They just do simple exercises really hard, and they make better progress than most people out there. And somehow a lot of these guys that take it serious get leaner and fitter than most guys training in gyms. And that's no hate, guys. I'm not the biggest guy out there, but I have other goals. So what I want to say is the same approach can work for a lot of guys out there that don't have the time to go to a gym, or simply don't want to go to a gym, and that want to train at home or do calisthenics. I think the key essence of this video is that simple movements trained with a honest, hard effort, consistently over a long enough time period. That's really all what strength training ever was, in my belief. If this video was helpful, guys, I appreciate every single like and comment. Stay out of prison in the meantime, and I'll see you in the next video.